Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Welcome to the new world. Would say new year, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a new year. It's basically the same thing as it felt like last year. So, anyways, what I got going on over here is I'm working on a Weedy Guitar Studios giveaway guitar. You know, the neck for his little giveaway, which is not a bad guitar. It just needs some, well, not some, but a lot of TLC. So I got right now the neck has been repaired as far as that slight twist from the fifth fret up. Clamping it to a 2x4, letting the steam do its thing, and then putting it under a kind of like a spotlight shop lamp that is halogen. You know, gets pretty hot, and you know, as it dried, it kind of stayed in place, which is a good thing. Now, I noticed on these necks that, and I noticed this on a lot of guitars as well, that when you get up to a certain point on the fretboard, like say down here, the frets don't feel as good on the ends as it does up here. So I will have to do a little work on that as well. But right now, I want to fit a nut inside of here. And what I have is a lubricated bone nut, and the slot fits the nut pretty good. There's a little bit of glue residue inside there I need to remove. So I have my jeweler files here that I modified. Now I have inside my garage is a grinder, you know, a double-sided grinder, but on one side of the grinder is like a metal polishing wheel, and it's not sandpaper, but it's an actual like pretty stiff wheel. It's not a grinding, you know, wheel, but it's not like a buffing wheel either. And what it does is it actually polishes out metal to where you could remove some metal, or you know, heads of screws that got rust on them or something like that, and you want to polish them out real easy. This thing works really good. So what I do with my jeweler files is, like, these edges over here had file material on them, and I actually got rid of that, which helps out a lot with, you know, working on something like this, because if you're filing something straight here, you don't want that edge to start digging deep down into the wood. Otherwise you start creating little craters on each side. So what I've got going on over here is, instead of working on this side, you know, focusing on this side of the fretboard of this groove, I need to focus on this side where the headstock is. Reason being is because you don't want to change anything from the distance between the nut and the 12th fret. So I just want to clean and level a little bit where the glue is on this side, just to get rid of it, and I can kind of feel it. But I want to focus more on this side here to remove any type of glue or residue from the nut slot. And then I have these little bars here, which are 1/8 in diameter. There's a coarser file on this side and a lighter file on this side. What I want to do is stick that in there and kind of just clean up the bottom part of it a little bit. Applying even pressure on both sides, this way I don't change, you know, one side being further down than the other. And I'm going to go ahead and fit this in here and see how that fits. Oh, that fits nice. It's not really tight, it's not really loose. I could pop it out real pretty easily. The glue, you know, a couple drops of crazy glue is going to take care of that. So that part is basically done. I'm not going to make the nut right now. I want to work on these frets a little bit. Kind of noticing some, might be a little scratch right there. Okay, yeah, it's just a scratch. I thought there was a crack over here where this screw is. You know, the bad thing about guitars is that if you have anywhere there's drilled into the wood, and there's no finish in that area where it's been drilled, if it gets a little bit wet, sometimes it'll crack, you know, right where the finish will crack, and I don't like that. Alright, so I'm going to take a look at these frets here. Now the neck should be straight. I shouldn't have any problems with that. Should be pretty much straight. And we are. And if you're not sure how straight you are, well, get a feeler gauge. take like a 2/1000 or a 4/1000 feeler gauge. I'll go with 2/1000s and just kind of like see if it'll fit under here, which in this case it doesn't because I just knocked it down. Now I picked up something that's really going to help as far as making, getting a nut going over here, as far as making your own nuts. And here is a ruler with some kind of like some holes notched in them, okay? And you have a base and treble side. So you have to put it like this. So the bass side will start on this side going towards treble side. All right. Now what you want to do is once you get the size of your nut made up over here, there is I can't remember if it was an 1/8 of an inch on each side of the nut, and then you mark, and then you line it up, the nut up with the marks over here, and you get 6 even spaced out perfectly marks that you put on here. That's why it's got a little bit of a notch inside there, so you can get a pen or something inside there to make a mark on the nut after you put it on here. And you can do this while it's on the guitar too, but you have to get your length of the nut where you want it before you shape everything and stuff. That way you can find out exactly where your spacing is going to end up at. So the neck is straight over here, and I don't need my jeweler files anymore. So I've taken a lot of these jeweler files and kind of done the same thing with the edges on them, because I was using these at first to kind of fix the ends of the nut or the ends of the frets before I ended up getting an actual fret file for that job. So the nut has been taken care of. I can put that off to the side. Go ahead and blow that out a little bit, make sure it's cleaned up. So now I want to focus on the actual frets. So if I get my rocker over here and kind of feel out how bad they are. And I tell you what, oh, this one's high here. It's only high on this side, so let me get a marker and mark that right there, because that's where it's high. It's on that side, but not on the other sides. So this one is a little bit high in the middle. Change my angle here. This one's high on the end. And change this now. Alright, so I'm high on this side here. A little bit high on this side here. Now I could do I could do a bunch of different things here. I can either work on the frets that are high only, or do the whole fretboard as far as a fret leveling goes. It doesn't seem like it's a lot, and it seems to get better. It's not too bad at the bottom part, which I'm surprised. The bottom part of the neck is kind of nice. It's not bad at all. This one here. Very little rocking right there. Alright, so I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets here that are kind of iffy. And if I look down the neck itself, I don't see any gaps between the fret and the fretboard. So let's see something here. So I gotta get a mallet that is going to fit this better, but what I'm going to do here kind of pop down a little bit on that. And that is working. And you want to make sure that you check, like this one was high, so this would be rocking. Now it's fine. This area here is fine too. You know, this was rocking over here. This is okay. Actually, I can go a little bit more with that. Check the other side to make sure the other side didn't pull up. So that's not bad. So when I go here, I want to check to see if there's any changes in the rest of them. I always do 3 points, either from side, middle, and other side, just to make sure. Now this one here was a little bit tall. Alright, so that kind of fixed that. There's still a little bit of rocking going on, like over here, just a minor. So I am going to do a little bit of a fret leveling. This helps out going over the frets, and knocking down the ones that might be sticking up a little bit too high, because in some cases on some guitars you don't have a lot of fret material to work with, and these feel like they're kind of like small frets. I don't want to sit there and remove them from the neck itself by doing a fret leveling job on it. So if I have some that are really, really high, the mallet kind of knocked them down, and now I'm able to go over it with the fret leveling, and I should start seeing like an even, you know, leveling going across here instead of having some of them that might be up and down. So go ahead and get my marker going over here, because I am going to do that. And if you ever get any of like black marker on your neck or a finish of your guitar or something like that, try a little bit of rubbing alcohol. That'll help remove whatever type of marker that's on there. So I'm not going to use the coarse side, I'm going to use the lighter side of this, and nice thing, get the nuts out of the way and go over this, and hopefully it skims across all of the frets. And it looks like that's exactly what it's doing. So I don't want to grind off and make these frets really, really flat. I just want to get them to where they're all even with each other. And that's exactly what it's doing. So each one of these frets has a slight line going across the center of them where the sandpaper on the leveling beam has done its job. I have 3 frets here on this side that are barely skimmed, and that's actually kind of good, because if there's no skimming at all on them, then they would be too low. And then the back one over here would be getting a lot of the grinding on it. And like I said, I'm not grinding on these guys. I just want to give a slight line on the top of them, and that way I know that they're pretty much all even. Now I like to use a beam that is the full length of the fretboard, as you can see. The reason being is I don't have to go one direction all the time, kind of like with the smaller blocks. If you go side to side with a smaller block, you're really going to be cutting the center a lot more than you're cutting the ends on it, because you're overlapping, and it's really focusing more in the center over here. Full length block, Works out great because you hit all of them at the same time all the time. And I'm going to call that done for now. Alright, so my next step is to crown these frets. So I got 3 different tools here that I could be using to do this job. I have a 3-sided file, which is nice and I like it a lot, and this was basically what I would use all the time. You have a lot more control. You're able to round over the fret a little bit nicer and still get the same results that you're looking for as far as having a very thin line going down the top of the fret. Another one is, now this is a wide, so it wouldn't be for these frets, but this is a 300 and a 150 grit. Now this is the diamond. So inside the channel over here, you have like a diamond dust inside here, which works really good as far as crowning and stuff. Bad thing is depending on the hardness of your frets, this will wear out pretty quick. What I'm going to use here is just a, it looks like an old tools because I use it a lot. It's another type of a crowning tool. This time here, I've got 4 inserts. You loosen up this screw, pop this out, put a different insert in here. I've got the correct insert for the type of fret that I'm using, which is the size of the fret, not the hardness. And so I'm looking at like the thickness and shit like that. These guys here are just extras, different sizes. So you have small, medium, and large. I do have an extra one inside here that I bought for larger frets, just in case I might wear this thing out. And you can pick this stuff up on eBay. You can get replacements. This is a StewMac tool. You could probably get it on eBay if someone's selling it, or if StewMac has an eBay store. This you could pick up on eBay. These are expensive, so if you're looking at finding, same with the StewMac, but these things are like 90 bucks. Okay, and not too sure how much the StewMac one is, but guaranteed that being a StewMac, it's going to be expensive. So I've got my glasses on and I've got the marker on top of all my frets. Now what I'm looking for here is, I don't know if you can see this, if this is going to zoom in, but on this fret here, which is done, there is a very, very faint, thin line on the top of the fret for crowning. I don't know if you can get, if it's catching that or not. I could see it. Now, and I'm not talking about like a pencil line, like if you would have a number 2 pencil that you would use for, whatever, with a rounded tip to it. I'm talking about the mechanical lead, that the thickness of the mechanical lead that you would find in those mechanical, the ones that you keep on pushing on and the lead comes out. That type of a thin line, which is going to make it real easy for the polishing part of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done. Because of the way these things leveled out, which didn't remove a lot of meat off of the top of the frets at all, it's going to crown pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. I got my glasses on for this because I am half blind. Like I said, this one's already done. And that one's done too. Like I said, this is just pretty quick. The fun part of this is not to be tilted on any specific angle. You want to try to be flat on top of the fret while you're doing this. Alright, so I stopped over at my local hardware store to pick up a few things today, and one of them is a pretty nice tool to have, especially if you don't know how to use a caliper or a micrometer to find out, or know how to read thousandths to find out what size things are. And this is basically it's a screw drill nut gauge. And the nice thing about it is on the back of it here, it gives you the thread pitches of what type of screws that you may use. Anything from the United States thread pitch to metric thread pitches. Very nice to have, especially if you're not sure, like if something's pre-threaded and you can't find the right screw, you can go ahead and match the threads up with here, and it'll tell you the pitch of that thread. You can get the right screw for it and the size of the nut, and not mess up the threads either on the screw or the nut. You know, and don't like cross threading stuff. It's not a good thing. Then on the sides over here, you have basically nut gauges. You can slide a nut over on top of here, and it'll tell you what size it is, at least what size the inside is. Then you have a bunch of holes drilled out here, which works really, really nice with, you know, especially with guitar stuff. All right, say you need to figure out what size hole you need for, you know, guitar tuners. All right, now you don't want to make the holes too big, and you don't want to make it too small. If it's too small, as you tighten up that tuner, it's going to put pressure, especially if you have ears on each side of your headstock. It could crack, could have a problem. So right here now I have a set of cheap, and when I say cheap, I mean cheap, 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 cheap. These are Grover fake tuners. Okay, this is the stuff that comes with guitar kits, and you know, they're crap. But if you need to know what the shank size is over here, one of these comes in perfect without having to use a caliper or a micrometer, like I said. So you want to find out what size drill you're going to need. All right, well, you just kind of look out here, find something that's close to it, and slide it in the hole. And as you can see, it spins, so it's not loose, and it's not tight either. I mean, I can move it in there freely without having, and there's not a lot of space around it. So if I say, let's see, 3/8 would be the next, yeah. All right, so that's a 3/8, and see, I let go of it, and it's kind of snug and tight, and it's not pushing in all the way. So I know I'm not going to use a 3/8 drill bit. I'm going to need a metric 10, and yeah, so that's going to come in real handy. Another thing that I picked up was extra drill bits. Now I've got a shitload of drill bits. I mean, there's a toolbox full of drill bits. I got drill bit cases upstairs. I have drills down here. A lot of the drills that we have are pretty old, you know, and I've got the tool that you stick the drill bit in, and you bring it up to a grinder, and you can sharpen the drill bits and stuff. But you know, I'm not going to spend all day sharpening up drill bits. So what I ended up doing is just picking up a whole new set. So I picked up some Bosch titanium bits, and these are going to come in handy. These are standard. I need to go get the metric set of these, but these are standard. And I'm going to replace, you know, all the drill bits that I have over here on the shelf. You know, some of them are broken that I resharpened. Some of them are missing, gone. I use them for everything from car audio, doing installs and everything else. I use them for everything. And yeah, so a new set of drills is going to come in handy. This gauge here is going to come in very, very handy for a lot of the stuff that needs to be done with headstocks or certain types of drilling holes and stuff. So let's get on back to this guy and get this thing worked on. So we're getting back to Weedy Guitar Studios giveaway guitars neck. And before I do any of the fret polishing, I want to go ahead and take care of the sides of the frets. So they're not really too bad, but as you get down to the bottom part over here, they're on a little bit of a sharp side. One thing I want to do is make sure that the side angles of the frets are good. And they look alright, but I like this one over here. Could probably fix that a little bit more. So what I've got here is just a double-sided file. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to hold it this way so this pointed part doesn't hit the headstock. I'm going to hold this on an angle with the angle of the frets themselves. And I'm going to go ahead and just go down the neck. And that's going to help with some of these sharp frets here. Also, make that angle look a lot better. So that's good. Now I want to go to this side. Again, turning this so the pointed area does not hit the headstock, and follow the same thing, same rule. Now you can hear down here on this side of the neck, I'm scraping metal. Not so much over here at all. Yeah, I'm really scraping metal over here. I can hear it. And as you're filing, you could feel that and hear that it's not grinding anymore. And that took care of that. Alright, so that's nice. And you don't feel as sharp anymore either down here. It feels pretty smooth. So now I can go ahead and do the fun part and start masking off this fretboard, because it's a nice shiny maple fretboard and I don't want to sit there and cut into it with sandpapers or the fret polishing, the fret erasers. Yeah, I see there's a spot right here I'm going to have to fix on the neck. It's got a little bit of a chip right there. Then I'm going to have to fill up a little bit. Not a big deal. That's what the crazy glue's for, right? Alright, so I have the nut mounted into place. It's been already trimmed down to size to fit the width of the fretboard. Well, not necessarily the width of the fretboard, but the width of the neck itself. So what I end up doing is I will even out a raw piece of nut material on one side, go to the other side where it hangs over, get a pencil or a pen or something and put a mark there, take it back off, cut it down to size. Now if you see that the nut kind of looks like it's overhanging each side of the fretboard, it's because it is. Why? Because it's cut to the width of the neck, not the width of the fretboard. Otherwise, I would have a dip on each side or one side of the nut where it's mounted in its slot, and I don't want that. I want it to be even on both sides with the neck itself. Remember, you still have to trim and shape your nut to make sure it's looks nice and proper and everything else. Now, it's already glued in place, so I don't have to worry about that. I started to put my marks on the top of the nut as far as string spacing goes. Very simple to figure this out. This string spacing tool is self-explanatory on the back of it, so it has directions of what you're supposed to do. And you end up getting a ruler. You look at the 1/8 side of the ruler, the 8th side, and you basically want to line that up on the edge of the fretboard and then mark off 1/8 of an inch. And you want to do that on both sides. So that gives you your outside as far as spacing goes for your high E and your low E. Then you take this ruler here and you will match up. And it might sound like it takes a long time to do, but then you match up basically those marks there. Now I already got some marks that are roundabout, so if I take this and kind of move it into place, now I know it's going to be the longer marks for this one, or the longer cuts instead of the shorter ones for this. But you locate basically the dots that you marked on your nut. Alright, so what I'm looking at here is you want the longer slots on the ruler, they all have to match all the way down. That's your string spacing. So you can't have like one long one on this side and a short one on this side. That's not going to work. That's not correct. So what I have here is, if I put this right on top of the marks, I see the black dots that I put on all the strings from the ruler, marking where each string spacing is supposed to be. This is a nice tool to have, not a bad tool at all. But again, you still need a regular ruler in order to do this properly. And then I'll end up cutting this string slots out after I mark my radius with the fretboard on the edge of the nut. That way I know how far I have to go, then I can start shaping. So right now the neck is basically done for now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the tuners on this thing. They seem to be alright, so it's not like a big deal to replace them. They seem to be halfway decent. One thing I don't like is stickers. I don't like stickers. Not on a guitar, at least. You know, if some people put stickers on a guitar, you know, they kind of looks cool the way they have them and stuff, but I just personally don't like them, because the adhesive that's on the back of the sticker, if you ever decide to remove the stickers, I noticed this with automotive paint, if you remove decals or pinstriping, it actually swells the finish a little bit. And this, I'm sure it probably did the same thing. These probably been on for a long time. Well, I'm going to end up taking them off, and I'm going to end up wet sanding this whole top of this guitar. There's a few imperfections in the body that I'm going to have to fix with some touch up. But the one thing that is going is I'm removing this pickguard and I'm replacing it. I ended up getting on eBay and I found a Wilkinson's. They're a Wilkinson's pickguard with single coil pickups in there, and that's what I'm going to put on this thing. And after I get the body done, so this is going to go. If Weedy wants it back, I'll give it back to him, send it back to him if he wants it. But yeah, I haven't tested anything. I haven't done anything. This pickguard here, I really don't think I'm going to be able to polish this pickguard the way that you know, give it a nice black. It's got some, it's kind of worn out. There's some good scratching going on from picking. I'm sure these stickers probably did a little bit of damage maybe to it, I don't know. But I tell you, when you're trying to get rid of this glue, you know, on these things, is kind of a pain in the ass. So I'm not even going to bother with it. So there's a new pickguard coming. I have new saddles. I don't think there's anything wrong with this bridge, but I have new saddles for it. And I got a design that I'm thinking about doing on top of here too, so I'm not quite sure. And the design is hopefully going to incorporate itself into the pickguard as well. But yeah, so I'm pretty much finished for now with this. This will be starting on another day. The neck is pretty much done as far as, you know, frets go and polishing and everything else. But yeah, so Weedy, like I said, I got a pickguard coming in off of eBay. I don't know how long it's going to take to get here, so keep your fingers crossed as far as hopefully the mail moves pretty quick. So yeah, I'm going to have fun with this. Luckily, a lot of these stickers are not paper backed. If they were paper backed, that would be fun to try to peel off. Luckily, these are plastic. Yeah, so if I took some polish right now and polished this out, you would see a line. The line would still be around the edges of this thing and kind of humped up a little bit. So that's kind of a little bit of a pain in the ass. That's part of the reason why I'm going to end up sanding this thing, plus the scratches that are on here. It's a used guitar. I mean, it's been probably been around a little bit, and you know, well, Weedy knows where it's been, but yeah. And then let's see here. So yeah, I think I got another back plate I could put on here as well. This one's pretty much scarred up. So that's it for now. This is Weedy's Guitar Studios giveaway guitar that's getting reconditioned and brought back to life by Eric C. And I hope he doesn't mind what I'm doing to it right now, but I'm getting rid of these stickers. At least the ones on the body. You can have the ones on the pickguard.